The events of the September 11th, 2001 attacks on the nation still certainly vivid in the memories and minds of many Americans.
But for those who were too young to remember, the impact may not be felt in the same way. Fox 43's Sydney Nauman spoke to a Pennsylvania lawmaker today who is making sure that the lessons of that day are never forgotten. Sydney.
Evan, Amy, schools in the area honored the lives lost during the 9/11 attacks with moments of silence or classroom discussions today. And now a new curriculum will standardize the way schools teach this important moment in American history. A day of remembrance.
What don't I remember?
I remember in the aftermath how very silent the skies were.
I just remember seeing the smoke from the buildings, not having a clue what that even was.
Dustin Prevo was a sophomore in high school when he watched the World Trade Center burn on a classroom television screen.
I remember being in class.
But today, more than a quarter of Americans don't remember the terror attacks that changed the nation on September 11th, 2001. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, about 30% of Americans were born after 2001 and another 7% were younger than 5 years old, too young to remember.
Many of the teachers that are educating our students were not alive or were toddlers.
Which is why State Senator Kristen Phillips Hill sponsored a bill that's now law aimed at teaching younger generations about the attacks and the lasting impact they had on the country.
The world that they inherit has changed dramatically as a result of 9/11. And there's so many incredible stories from that day. How at the very worst moment in our history, Americans came together.
A lesson which Prevo hopes his children will learn through the new curriculum.
I think the important part is understanding the consequences of hate and what that looks like.
According to Phillips Hill, the new curriculum will include the events leading up to 9/11, what happened at each of the crash sites, and the lasting impact of the attacks. However, this wouldn't be a one-size-fits-all program. Instead, school districts can implement the curriculum as they see fit.
And so you don't want to go as in depth with younger students. You're going to talk with them more about there was an event that occurred that impacted all of us. It made many people sad and they lost people that they loved. Whereas you can go more in depth talking about the terrorism aspects when you're talking with older students.
And as Prevo's children are just beginning their education, he believes the new curriculum is a necessary stepping stone.
I think starting to introduce them this way, whether it's a coloring book, and this is what happened, and just love your neighbor, love your friends, love your teacher, show respect. If that's the worst that comes of it, I mean, I think that's a step in the right direction.
Now this change won't take effect right away. Instead, Phillips Hill says the Pennsylvania Department of Education should release the curriculum to schools by June of 2025, along with any supplemental materials for teachers and students.
Well, it certainly sounds like a step forward. Sydney, what about you? What did your 9/11 education look like in school?
Well, Amy, I was born just after 9/11 happened, and even with that on the front of people's minds, we never really saw a change in the curriculum at my school, apart from moments of silence on 9/11. So I think it's really great that this is something that's actually being addressed, and hopefully more areas will consider adopting similar lessons.
All right, Sydney Nauman reporting tonight. Thanks so much.